everyone, today we're going to be making potholders. You do not need a pattern for this project and it takes a very small amount of material. These are great gifts and perfect for any seasonal changes you might want to make within your home without breaking the bank. So I've already pre-cut some fabric here. I have 2 cotton fabrics. I chose 2 different colors. You could do the same color as you want. It doesn't matter, completely up to you. And then I have a neoprene fabric, which is a heat protectant, and then I also have a little bit of batting in there as well for some extra cushion. And I chose to cut mine 7 inches by 7.5 inches. That's kind of the beauty of this project. You could make these as large or as small as you'd like. You really can pick any measurements. They're perfect if you want to use some fat quarters from the store. If you don't know what fat quarters are, they're pre-cut fabric. I chose to use this little gold ribbon as a little accent. You could also make your own bias tape out of a small piece of material, which I'll show you how to do later on. So what I'm going to be using today are my scissors, a seam ripper, a ruler, some pins, the material that I previously mentioned, and this material has already been washed and pressed. Getting started, I have my material in front of me. I have the batting down first, and then I have the neoprene, and then I have 1 piece of my printed cotton. And what I'm going to do is take my second piece and put it right sides together with the piece on the table. So right sides meaning the pretty part that you want to be showing when you're all finished with your project. Those parts are going to be touching. Then I take this piece of ribbon and I'm going to fold it in half to make a little loop. What this loop is going to end up being when we're all finished is a little accent that you can use to hang your potholders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up the first layer of cotton, of my printed cotton. So there's my top layer of cotton and then the second layer of cotton. And I'm going to place my loop side in, so the round portion pointed inside of the square, and then I'm gonna close the top cotton piece and pin it all together. So now my loop should be inside my square. You can pin that loop whatever angle you want. I kind of have mine slanted a little bit because that's how I want it to hang when I'm done. So there it is, all pinned together. You don't have ribbon, you can just use a small piece of material, whatever size you want really. I think this is like 2 inches by 3.5 inches. I'm not quite sure, but what you would do is fold the sides into the center. You would really use an iron to press this, but I'm just kind of going over it. So I'm going to fold both sides into the center and then fold it one more time horizontally like that to make a little strip, kind of like a small piece of ribbon. And then you would just sew down each side of it, and then it could be your loop instead of using a ribbon for this project. Okay, going back to the potholder. I went ahead and pinned all of the edges of the square, and I'm going to leave a little slit open there so that we can turn it right side out once we're all done. So I took it over to my sewing machine, went around. Don't forget to back stitch when you start and stop. And then when you turn those corners, make sure your presser foot is down so that it doesn't wiggle around on you. For some reason it didn't record when I showed where you should cut next, but what you should do is be clipping your corners. And what that means is you're gonna cut the tip of the corner off, but you don't want to cut into the threads that you've sewn. You want to just clip right above the thread. That way when you turn it right side out, they'll be nice and pointed corners. I'm also going to be trimming the excess off the sides so that it's not super bulky once we turn it out. I get to the side that still has the opening, I'm going to go ahead and separate the cotton pieces from the neoprene and the batting, and I'm going to trim the neoprene and the batting. Probably just about 1 inch. I just kind of eyeballed it here, But the reason that we're going to be trimming it is so that when we do close this top part, it's not super bulky. So I'm trying to give myself some extra room to work with by trimming this neoprene and batting. Now it's time to flip our pot holder right side out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Remember, you can use your scissors or a little wooden dowel, whatever you want really to help push those corners out. I had to fuss with mine quite a bit today to get it to lay the way that I wanted it to. And if that happens, just be patient. It's not a big deal. Once it's turned right side out, you'll have a nice little square right there. You can see my gold ribbon popping up. And now we're gonna close the hole that's on the top. And how I do that is I put my fingers on either side of the opening, kind of press down, and the fabric will naturally roll in towards the middle. So we're gonna pinch that closed right there, and then I'm going to pin it so that'll be easier to take to my sewing machine once it's pinned closed. So here's an example of how I did it. I have some extra threads lingering there. I'm gonna trim those just in a sec. So I'm gonna sew right along the top there, and this will be what it looks like afterwards. Really, you could leave it like this if you wanted to, but I'm gonna go ahead and do a top stitch like that all around the perimeter of the pot holder, which will end up looking like this here. I then took this back to the machine and sewed a diagonal line across the top, kind of as just a visual accent, but also functionality. It's easier to grip with this. You can sew an X across, you can sew a couple lines across, but here we go. We have our finished pot holder. These are just some examples of other pot holders I've made recently. Some seasonal ones. I've got Thanksgiving, Halloween, just kind of a fun, colorful one for our home. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Let us know what other sewing tutorials you would like to see, and go ahead and check us out on Instagram at @homebasedhome. Thanks so much. Have a great day.